so today's homework that was sent home has 5 questions again. We really are trying to focus on our algebraic reasoning, so there is more difficult and challenging questions this week, but it's still something that they have all seen in class and that we've been working on daily. So let's take a look at number 1. We have a word problem. We have no stimulus, no picture to go along with it. At Orange Grove Elementary, there are 231 fifth graders, 108 fourth graders, and 152 third graders. So when we read that first statement, we're talking about the number of students in each grade level. Of these students, of this total, which we have not yet determined, of these students, 347 went on a field trip. We need to figure out how many students did not get to go to the field trip. Now here for this question, we have the amount for 5th, 4th, and 3rd. We don't have to do any math to figure out how much in each grade level. That's given to us. So for 5th grade, we have 231, 4th grade, 108, and 3rd grade, 152 students. Of these students, of this combination of students, some got to go to a field trip. Well, before we can even go to this next statement, we have to figure out, well, how many students are at that school? How many 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are there? Then of that total of this amount, then we can go down to this next part with our second step. So we have 3 numbers here. We don't know the total number of students. We're going to combine each of our parts. So in our strip diagram, and we'll take 2 at a time. So we know that 231 and 108 is 339. And we know that's just 5th grade and 4th grade together, so now we need 3rd grade. Now putting these 2 parts together to form our total, we have 339 and 152. We have 491 students. Now, that total is just the amount of students that are at that school. That's not what our question is looking for. So let's go to our next part. Of these students, of this total of the 491, 347 got to go on a field trip. So we know our total number of students. That number is not increasing. Of this amount, 347 went. We need to determine how many did not get to go to the field trip. Well, in a strip diagram, we know that this part and this part together forms the whole, forms the total. So let's think about this. Would we add these 2 numbers together? No, we're not increasing the amount of students that we have. We have the total. To find our missing piece, our missing part, we're going to go ahead and subtract our total minus the amount that did get to go. And whenever your student subtracts this out, this number right here is the number of students who did not get to go on that field trip. All right, number 2, we have a stimulus, we have a picture, we have number lines. We know that in a number line, an open number line, it can start anywhere. So we do not have to start at 0. But we do know as we travel towards the right on our number line, our numbers are increasing and getting larger, which means we could use addition or multiplication moving to the right. We also know inversely that the more that we go backwards or more to the left of our number line, the smaller our number. So we know that subtraction and division can help get us backwards. So let's take a look. Cage has 243 pages in his notebook. So Cage has this much. Marcus, different character, he has 114 more than Cage. So does that mean that Marcus has 114? No, he has 114 more, a greater amount, an increasing amount. So we know that Marcus, he has more than this person, Cage. Here's our question. Which number line represents how to find the number of pages in Marcus's notebook? So we care about Marcus here, so I'm going to start. Again, we were given that it was 114 larger than this number here. So I know that I'm using my operation of addition. I know that I move towards the right on my number line to increase the amount that I have. Let's take a look at A. It looks like I'm at 243 and moving backwards, meaning I'm subtracting it out. Well, I can go ahead and eliminate that. When I go to B, it looks like we were at 300 and again, subtracting, decreasing our amount. So I'm going to eliminate B. When we go to C, we're at 243, which was Cage's number, and I'm moving towards the right, so I'm increasing. I'm increasing by 100, which is a part of 114, and then I'm increasing again 14 more. So this is just broken apart into 114, so 114. So I have my starting point of 243 and I'm adding 114. Oh, that looks like it's matching my equation. So I'm going to go ahead and start. On D, we're starting at 250, which was not Cage's amount. They are increasing, they are moving towards the right, but they're increasing by 70 plus 23 more. They're increasing by 93. We can go ahead and eliminate. Once we know the amount that Cage has, and we know that Marcus has more than Cage, we know that we're going to move towards the right on our number line. Number 3, Ross plays football 3 times per week. So I know that I'm going to be using multiplication. So every week he has football. He plays basketball, a different sport, 5 times a week. Okay, so looks like he's having those practices some on the same day. How many times does Ross play football and basketball in 6 weeks? So I care about football and basketball. I know with this keyword, I'm combining football and basketball. Well, how many times did he practice football? 3 times. How many times did he practice basketball? 5 times. How many times did he practice in 1 week with football and basketball? Well, 8 times in 1 week. When we get down to our question, if they practiced, or if Ross practiced 8 times in 1 week, we need to determine how many or how much did he practice in 6 weeks. Well, if 1 week is 8, I'm kind of running out of room. 1 week is 8, and I need to determine for 6 weeks, and he practices the same amount. Oh, I have 8 6 times, or 6 times 8. So they can go ahead and work on their multiplication fact for 8 times 6 or 6 times 8 to find the total that Ross played for football and basketball in 6 weeks. All right, next question. All right, so Farmer Brown's geese laid 110 eggs each week for 3 weeks. So every week laid 110 eggs. The next week, his geese laid 50 fewer, 50 less, a smaller amount than he did in the first 3 weeks. We need to determine how many eggs did Farmer Brown's geese lay in all. So here, we're looking for the total. Well, let's go ahead and set this up. We know for the first 3 weeks, week 1, week 2, and week 3, the geese laid 110 eggs each week, every week, for those first 3 weeks. But then the week after that, the 4th week, the geese laid 50 fewer than in the first 3 weeks. Well, I know that that keyword fewer means less. I'm decreasing my number. So I'm going to take my 110 that the geese laid in those first 3 weeks and then subtract 50. So we have 60 eggs. Now we have the number of eggs for week 1, 2, 3, and 4. We need to determine how many eggs did they lay in all. How many total? So here we have 4 parts. We know each of its parts now. And then your student on their own, they can go ahead and start combining their parts until they have the total number of eggs. Number 5, Billy and Jean were playing a number game. When Billy called a number, Jean said a number that was 5 times greater than Billy's. We're looking for the table that shows the results of their game. So whenever we read this, we've got to ask ourselves, well, who is going to have a larger amount? So we got to go back to Billy and Jean. Well, Billy, when he called a number, Jean, we'll say J for Jean, said a number that was 5 times greater, 5 times larger, a bigger amount. So I know that Jean's number has got to be bigger, and it's got to be 5 times bigger. So let's go down to our tables. This is our input-output tables with relationships. Let's take a look at it. If I'm just doing a quick little elimination here, well, I know that Jean has got to be bigger than Billy, and that's true here. That's true here. That is not true here. It has Jean as the lesser amount, so I'm going to cross it off. And then here it has Jean as the lesser amount. I haven't had to do any math yet, and I'm only down to 2 answer choices, so I've got a 50-50 shot here. So now the next rule is, well, it's got to be 5 times bigger, meaning whatever Billy calls out, it's got to be the math fact of times 5. So let's go ahead and plug it in. So if Billy rolls a 4, that means Jean's number has got to be 5 times that amount, or 4 times 5. Well, is 4 times 5 9? No, so I can go ahead and eliminate A. Let's go down to B and make sure that this makes sense. If Billy has a number of 1, Jean's number is 5 times bigger, so times 5. Is 1 times 5 5? Yes. Well, it works here, but we've got to check throughout the rest of that table. 2 times 5. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That works. 3 times 5. Well, here I can count by 5s 3 times. 5, 10, 15. 10 times 5. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And 11 times 5 is 55. Great, so here, just as long as we understand who has the larger number, and it gave me the rule, it gave me the pattern here of times 5. So this week, these are the 5 skills that we are going to be working on. Formative Luke was sent home today, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good night.